Hello again, it's Mike from Vox Political, this time asking why those in authority are not playing fair about our energy and water bills, or utility bills as they're called. Energy bills are rising yet again by even more than we last heard. This time the extra increase is being blamed on inflation and rising wholesale costs. In April, energy regulator Ofgem will introduce a new price cap, 6.4% higher than the current cap, meaning the annual bill for a household using a typical amount of gas and electricity will rise by £111 per year, or £9.25 per month, to £1,849. But of course, these caps only last for 3 months, so the regulator is actually saying the average bill for those 3 months, April to June, will now be £462.25, up from £434.50 between January and March. Between October and December 2024, the average bill was £429.25, and between July and September it was £392, the only time the price cap has fallen in the last year. It decreased from £422.50 for the 3 months before that. So, while we were all initially told that our average bills for the year from July 24 to July 25 would be £1,568, in fact they will have cost us £1,718. That's a difference of £150, £12.50 per month. If you're already on a shoestring budget, that's a lot of money to lose, especially when the loss comes without warning. And there is another layer to this, being that the amount we actually pay depends on how many units of gas or electricity we actually use. So I recently revealed that I am on an extremely tight budget, and this means I have tried to restrict my energy costs to £15 per week. That would come to £450 in the 30 weeks since I arrived in my current residence, around £197 per quarter, but in fact I have overspent that meagre budget during the winter months. Another layer to this is that standing charges are rising for gas but falling for electricity. The BBC's article tries to treat this as a plus, but it has been included in calculations of the average bill. Without the standing charge change, the bill for 3 months would be £468.73, and for a year £1,874.93. That would have been an average increase of 7.9%. In other words, the standing charge reduction isn't saving you any money, it just means the rise isn't as much as it might otherwise have been. Looking at it the way I have, doesn't it seem like a big con? We were told the bill would be one amount back before July last year, and it is in fact coming in at £150 more. We're being told one of the standing charges has dropped, but the bill is still higher, and the energy firms are still raking in the cash, making fortunes while we struggle to scrape together the payments. Money-saving expert Martin Lewis says we should move to fixed deal tariffs, but I wonder if even his usually excellent advice is good here. Bills came down last July and are expected to fall again in July this year, so would it not be better to wait until then and get a fixed deal based on that rate? Hindsight suggests it would have been better to get a fixed tariff in July last year than before or since. The initial bill might have been higher than the variable rate, but it would have provided protection against rises of the size we have seen since. The same might be suggested now. Either way, energy prices remain a scandal and will continue to do so until the UK decouples the cost of clean, green energy generated domestically from the international price of fossil fuels and buys none of its fuels from abroad. Even then, corruption being endemic in my country these days, I doubt it will happen until suppliers can find a way to rip us all off, aided and abetted by the regulator and the government of the day. And there is another angle to this, which is how are people on benefits supposed to afford high utility bills when their payments aren't keeping up? We learned that energy bills are rising by 6.4% to an average of £462.25 for the 3 months from April to June. That's £154 per month. We already know that water bills in England and Wales are rising by a massive 26% in April to an average of £603 per year, £50.25 per month. So if a person on universal credit paid the average amount, they would spend £204.25 per month on those two bills alone. They have to have mobile phones at the very least in order to conform to universal credit requirements. Most of it is carried out online, and that costs an average of £30 per month apparently. From April, Universal Credit will receive its annual uprating of just 1.7%. This means that for an adult aged over 25, it will go from £393.45 to £400.14 per month, and more than half of that could be spent on just 3 bills. I'm not saying it will be. For example, I'm on UC and I don't spend £154 on electricity, and I don't have gas. But it all seems clear that while utility bills are spiralling out of control, the ability of the poorest people to pay them is being stripped away by a government that is out of touch with the cost of living. No wonder shoplifting has increased by around 37% in the past 2 years. That's all I've got to say about that for the time being. If you've enjoyed it, like, comment and subscribe, and you will see me, as always, in the next one.